and good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Morning Briefing right here on NoFilter.net. I'm Jeff DeForest. That handsome gentleman over there is one Mike Lubitz, also known as Mr. Excitement. Very excited about this offseason in the NBA and the complaining and the crying. I was only offered $30 million. What a fucking insult. That stuff is great. But I'm going to begin with song here today because it's an old classic. I guess the most familiar recording of this, it's been done by many people, was done by the great bluesman Albert King. And, of course, the song is dedicated to all degenerate gamblers. If it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all. That's pretty much the way that it is. And I was thinking about this yesterday because we got into this whole thing about the guys that were handicapping the Summer League NBA basketball. And it just never ceases to amaze me, the level of dementia, the level of minutia. Now, I'm not talking about guys that go out and destroy their family and blow their inheritance money and they end up on the streets. I mean, that's a sick level of gambling. But the question would be, Lubie, and you've come across this now. You have more experience with this. You were a complete uninitiated novice in these areas when we met about 15 years ago. I mean, maybe you had dabbled a little bit here and, hey, I'll bet you $5 you can't eat that cheeseburger. Yep. But I don't know that you were as immersed, as entrenched in the degeneracy to the level that is going on all over the world right now, with young people, old people, it doesn't matter. The degenerate gambler now pretty much sizes up virtually everybody who's participating in any way as a sports fan or is there anybody out there that's actually going to games that doesn't have money on them or watching games on TV? Can you imagine dedicating 3 hours of your life to watch a game on TV? You don't have a dime on it? What the fuck is the point? But how do you know when you're among the sickest of the sick? That would be the question. And like I said, we're going to draw the line at people that have legitimate, deep-rooted problems with this. I mean, that's a whole nother category than the one that we're addressing here. Sickest of the sick, though, would be, I mean, where you spent most of your life trying to figure out who the hell was going to win the first quarter of an NBA Summer League game.
I love that that's an actual bet someone can make.
It's fucked up. It really is. I mean, think about that. That anybody would even have the audacity to offer that bet, much less somebody take them up on the opportunity or the proposition. But that's the way of the world today. And people are probably parlaying that with Zach Edey under 11 rebounds and Bronny James over 5 points and all of this other propositions that are out there for you that you can take advantage of. Or it's another way to really separate you from your money. I guess for me, it'll always be the signature moment in my life when I realized, and it was a religious epiphany, when I was in that Jamaica OTB parlor. I was covering a Hurricanes basketball game, had a lot of time to kill, and I was always fascinated by the degenerate levels of off-track betting parlors in New York City, because they tended to really be the depiction and the picture of what you always imagined would be. A bunch of low-life slobs in there, people that never had a job, shuffling around, looking on the floor for tickets that might have been discarded that could be cashable for $2.10. And, nobody even, in a position where they buy a racing form. They're waiting for some idiot to come in with one, put it on a table so they can swipe it. No, that was mine. But, I mean, the kind of character that you would only expect to see in the opening scenes of a Dickens novel were the people that occupied that. And then I'm staring at the ceiling, looking at a speaker one day, and I look around the room, and I see all of these degenerate swine gathered around, yelling and screaming at a race that they can't even see. They're yelling, "Come on, Seabiscuit! Come on, Seabiscuit!" I'm like, who can fucking see this race? Nobody knows what the hell's going on. And I realized, wow, this must be purgatory, and hell would be the same room with the same people in it, but no opportunity to bet. There would be no point going on. You would just say, "Devil, take my soul. I don't want to continue with this program anymore." Many ways. I mean, during the pandemic, we discovered ways to become the sickest of the sick, betting Korean baseball and ping pong and cornhole and all of these things that were offered up at the time because there were no sports. But wow, I mean, when you make that determination and you realize just how sick it is, what you're doing, can you still have fun with it? I guess that's the question, Libby. When it gets to that point where you're betting NBA Summer League basketball, I guess that's where you really need to do not just some self-examination, but but maybe even seek some professional help. So that's our piece of advice out there. Scary headline, scarier than that Trump is leading in all the swing state polls, scarier that Joe Biden every day is coming under scrutiny. Now they think he has Parkinson's. Some people actually think that he's already checked out, that he's actually a corpse, and it's a weekend at Bernie's with this guy. But scarier than realizing that, what is that called? 2025, that whole agenda, that the third rank thing that they
Project 2025.
Project 2025, yeah. Trump is kind of distancing himself from that, but that's immediately going to be the thing that he begins to enact once he gets into office again. And it came right out of the middle pages. We can ask Kyrie Irving about this. It came right out of the middle pages of Mein Kampf, the whole concept. So very frightening when you see some of these things. And yet this decision is going to be made, and you're going to have to react if you're somebody like Lubie and me, and maybe some people that actually agree with us that this is going to be a disaster for the country, and it's never going to be the same again, and not for good reasons, Lubie, not for good reasons. Because it's not like you're looking at Donald Trump. I love these people that say, well, he gave up his rich life so he could go and help out America.
No.
It's like, well, what a crock of shit that is, man. The guy's never done a thing that wasn't totally unscrupulous in his entire life. So,
his family made billions. I think that's the funniest thing. He gave up. First of all, he didn't. He actually, by all accounts, did get the salary every president gets. He just lied like he always does. And his family made billions. He made billions. His daughter made billions. The goddamn son-in-law the sons made billions. They made billions in that office in a way you're not supposed to.
No, it's amazing. It really is. That people just look right through that. And so it's frightening to see these headlines. But the scariest thing I've seen is that, and I saw a headline today, kind of obscure, like it looked like a filler column in the New York Post sports section. And it said, soccer's popularity gaining in the United States of America. Is there no end to it? This lunacy? Now, if you are going to watch soccer, obviously you have to have a bet on it, and Bet Online, that would be your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season, whether it's baseball, golf, soccer, the Euros, the Copa America, whatever is happening, right on through the big fights, UFC, MMA, and boxing. Bet Online gives you every opportunity to go out there and have some fun with this stuff. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds while the game or the event is in progress, which is always a great thing because you can re-up after the game starts. Hey, Lubie, I was dead wrong about that thing. Okay, bet the Celtics, Steve. And you can do it. When the game's over, you can head on over to the online casino. That is great. You have poker, you have blackjack, and you have over 150 opportunities on their video slot games. Head to the website today to get in on all the action. Use the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV, not a common spelling. BLEAV is in Believe Network for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet Online. The game starts here. Well, when is it going to end, though? That this suggestion, this inference that soccer is popular in America. I guess it is, right? It's Messi's playing in the Meadowlands in the New York City metropolitan area there, in New Jersey, actually. And they went that way and Piscataway, I guess you would call it. No, that's where Rutgers is. But yeah, he's going to be playing there with Argentina. And I think they're taking on Chile in one of the Copa America games.
Okay.
Now, I mean, the fact that people will watch Messi, and is it still the Messi mania around the MLS? Because he hasn't played in an MLS game in a while. And it looks, what's up?
Here, it's not the same as it was, but around the league it is because what you just said, he hasn't played in a lot of the games. So when they do go to a city and he does play, it's like a big freaking deal.
Okay, I understand that. This is one of the great players ever. If you watched what little soccer I've watched, I have seen Messi in World Cup play and some international play, and you're looking and going, man, that little guy's pretty good, huh?
Yes.
Not bad. I mean, he dribbles through like six guys, and unlike most plays in soccer, once he does that, he actually makes something happen.
Yes.
Might even score an occasional goal. It's very possible you might see Messi score a goal if you go out there and watch this Copa America's game. Now, the Copa America, is that like considered a weenie tournament compared to the Euros?
Yes. The Copa America is something they threw together that pales in comparison in the weight of the Euros. The Euros is a mini World Cup. People take it seriously. It's a big freaking deal. The Copa, they're televising it like it's a big deal, but I mean, outside of the countries that are still around, it's not something that most people I know pay any attention to.
Well, and that's what I love about the gaining and emerging popularity of the sport, if it isn't already at its peak, is that the game of soccer as an entity is constantly trying to manufacture ways to embarrass itself by putting stupid events on with guys that are way beyond the caliber of the players that they find in the opposition. Like Messi in the MLS. And then they convince us, hey, this is very much like this Project 2025. They convince us, yeah, this is a good thing. We got the biggest superstar in the sport. Michael Jordan is playing JV basketball at some JUCO. Unbelievable. And we're going to celebrate it as if it was something that we should all pay money for and pay a lot of attention to. But nonetheless, yeah, the Copa America is attracting a lot of attention. And is it really gaining popularity in the United States, Lubie? Or is this just a movement towards complete and total and undeniable insanity on the part of the sporting public here?
I mean, more people watch international soccer than when I was younger. The MLS is definitely a lot more popular now than years ago. So yes, it's definitely gained steam. The stuff we heard where people were like, "Well, it's going to become the second sport," or no, I mean,
they were saying things like that about NASCAR, which
yeah. Look, it may compete with baseball.
Itself.
I'm not gonna lie, baseball's popularity is very, very down. I hear people talk soccer more than I hear them talk baseball. So it may compete for the third sport in America, but it's not gonna overtake basketball. It's not gonna compete with football. A lot of people are like, well, it'll go after the NFL. No, it won't go after the NFL.
Let's hope not. Wow.
No, it won't.
Would the mindset, the entire psyche of the American public be completely neutered at that point? I mean, well, why not just go and get your balls cut off? It's kind of a graphic way of saying I'm not a big soccer fan. I mean, I'm being somewhat facetious about this. If you like soccer, that's fine. I've never been one of those sportscasters that says, hey, you got to root for the Cleveland Indians because you're from Cleveland.
Nah.
I don't care. I mean, is it really going to impact my life? As you get up there in years, you realize how insignificant some of these sports arguments that you had were. And you know, when you see things like Stephen A. Smith and some of these people on ESPN that are just going crazy, absolute lunatic fringe type of behavior over whether or not the Celtics should move somebody else into the sixth man position, replacing Hondo Havlicek. You're thinking, well, what difference does it really make in the long run? Not a whole hell of a lot. Unless you had money on a game, it's almost of no significance whatsoever anyway. But yeah, they're still trying to push that, and I couldn't believe it. I'm looking at the headline and thinking, this really is scarier than the fact that Trump is leading in the polls and about to become the president of the United States again, while just openly admitting, "Hey, listen, I'm a lunatic," and demonstrating it at every turn. I think you're right about this. If you looked at the collective speeches that are being made by these guys at their rallies, who appears to be the insane one and the incompetent one?
I mean, it's not even close.
Not even close. All right, Tiger Woods. Remember when Ken Venturi was obsessed with the Ryder Cup? I don't know what kind of Ryder Cup fan you are. I don't put as much emphasis on it as a lot of people do, even though, okay, yeah, it's a great event. And anything involving the United States of America, I'm firmly behind it, which is why I'm concerned about the status of the United States of America, as they say, and I hate this phrase, going forward. But Tiger decided, this is great, he decided, and look, he's perfectly entitled to do whatever the hell he wants. If he doesn't want to spend the time being the captain of the Ryder Cup team and take on, is there any pressure attached to that, Lubie? Where
I mean, I guess
guys have been ridiculed. Wasn't Azinger completely ridiculed? What was he, a Ryder Cup captain? That
I think so, and I think
everybody thought bungled the whole thing.
Yeah, I think
he was one of those guys. Yeah, like Paul Azinger, who's I thought was a really good commentator, but they took him off the air because he was saying too many things that were actually interesting to people. So why would you want him on a golf tournament
exactly.
when you can have Jim Nantz ready to give Ricky Fowler a blowjob because he made a 4-foot putt? I mean, I guess they're pretty much capitulating to the PGA's demands. But the reason that he couldn't do it was because he's so immersed and involved in trying to straighten out the complete backstabbing, just unbelievable sabotage that was done by Monahan in this alleged merger that's going to take place with the Saudis.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine that. I mean, that's what this guy has to dedicate his time to, is trying to unfuck what was one of the great fuckings of all time. I think it's noble, Lubie. I guess, you know what? It cost him a chance to be the leader of one of the most prestigious events in the game, at least according to the players. They put a lot of emphasis on beating the shit out of the Europeans, the United States players. So he's not going to do that. And then call Lisa. Meanwhile, man, put her on hold on Brian Cashman's office. I was looking at a contrast in the Yankees play. We were talking about it a little bit yesterday on the show, where people are trying to figure out what happened to the Yankees. The team's rotation, their starting rotation, their earn run average through like the first 50 games, what was something like 2.9 or maybe even a little bit lower than that. The entire rotation, I'm talking about, and now is with very minor participation by Garrett Cole. And since that time, in the last 19 games, where they're like 5-14, in the last 19 games, that their earn run average is nearing 7.
That's about. Well, that's more. That's the thing, though. Outside of Cole, their rotation was a big question mark. So
suspect all the way around. Sure.
2.9. I don't know if you could have.
It was amazing.
Like,
you didn't know if it was going to sustain itself. That was unlikely. But I mean, to balloon to the point where they're giving up more than twice as many runs as a collective rotation, earn runs than they were just about a month ago. And so that decline seems to be legitimate there. And all of a sudden, I saw the first article today suggesting that hey, maybe Aaron Boone still is a bozo.
Oh, duh.
Is that possible?
He figured it out magically.
After all of a sudden, Cashman is Branch Rickey, and Aaron Boone is like Miller Huggins or something. You're like, what the fuck happened here? That guy was a complete idiot. Everybody wanted him. There wasn't a single Yankee fan that didn't want to see Aaron Boone chucked as manager. Remember when that was a term? Yeah, you probably were too young to remember being chucked as a term in sports. If you were taken off a team, you weren't cut. You were chucked.
Yeah, we never used that.
Never?
No, never. I know
Having been chucked many times, I was very familiar with the terminology. All right, bet your brains out, people, on whatever it is that you want to do. And if you want to consider soccer a sport, go ahead. That will only contribute and increase its popularity, which seems to have been growing for like the last 50 years. Although, when does it level off? When do people realize it's a stupid game where all you want to do is scream, pick up the fucking ball. Pick it up already. Is this Belichickian? Just one last thought here. Is this in any way Belichickian that Taylor Fritz orchestrates and engineers this marvelous comeback yesterday? He's down 2-0 to Zverev, who's playing great tennis, and is really kind of consolidating the notion that he's back from that, just really hideous ankle injury that he had a couple of years ago in the French Open, when he was in the semifinals, and it looked like, I think he was playing Alcaraz, and he was about to maybe even win the match, and then he rolls over his ankle. It was horrible. Anybody who's ever rolled an ankle, you've done it, I'm sure, many times.
Yeah. No, it sucks.
This was one of the worst examples of it I've seen.
Especially
what's that?
Especially in the instance, it says sharper pain when you feel it right away.
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah.
So anyway, he comes back. He's playing some great tennis. He's showing indications that maybe even he would be worth a shot, speaking of betting, at double-digit odds to win Wimbledon. I mean, he's right there knocking on the door with Sinner and Alcaraz and Djokovic and anybody else that would be at the top of the men's field. There are always a couple of guys, wild card kind of guys like Medvedev or whatever that can sneak in there and win a tournament of this magnitude, of this level. But tell the truth, Lubie, is this not Belichickian, where every time Taylor Fritz hits a good shot or wins a point, all you're thinking in your head is, show the babe.
Yeah, his girlfriend's nuts, right? Yeah, his girlfriend's nuts, right?
Because he's got this smoking hot girlfriend and is very popular on social media, or was before he met her, and I think that was what the original attraction was of Taylor Fritz, his interest in this woman. Morgan something is her last name. I don't think something is her last name, but it's Morgan something. And it might be Riddle. It could be. I will tell you this, though. Tommy Paul's girlfriend maybe eclipses anything that you have fantasized about with regard to the girlfriend that's often shown in the box of Taylor Fritz. But is that wrong of a 73-year-old guy to be thinking that? I mean, it's not like, hey, great shot, Taylor. All you're thinking in your head when you're watching this. Tell me I'm not alone in this, Lubie. Show the babe. Show the babe.
Morgan Riddle.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if she's good looking, and they always do it, you sort of get trained.
You would think she was playing, right?
They did with Tiger when they had Elin. They would show Elin, and he was Tiger.
Yeah.
And they would still always show Elin at some point. When there's a really
what were the odds that if he had been hanging around, say he had a special attraction and affection for that wannabe porn star that we had in the studio that one time, that also was one of Tiger's mistresses. I'm assuming that was legitimate. I don't think she was making that up. But they wouldn't have shown this white trash hanging out with Tiger Woods, would they? I mean, at some fancy schmancy country club where everybody's worth at least $20 billion? No way. No way they would have shown this woman. The Perkins waitress, we never really got a good glimpse of her.
Oh, no.
I don't think she was actually going to be, a swimsuit cover model on Sports Illustrated anytime soon. There we are, body shaming people. Listen to us. Like we have something to talk about. All right, it was great being with you today. Thanks so much. Bet your brains out on virtually everything, and we will see you on the next edition here on NoFilter.net. For Mike Lubie, I'm Jeff DeForest. Catch you on the next edition of the Morning Briefing.